So we were discussing about the compound data type, that is list, and we will try to finish the discussion on list in today's lecture. So in the last class, we uh, had looked at one example of how to search for an existing item in a list. We have looked at the function that is called index, which can actually provide us with the corresponding location in which a searching item is being placed. So let's look at one example. So where we need to get all the indices in which a particular item, a searching item, is present. So let's consider the same present absent array, or in this case it is a list. 0 indicates absence, 1 indicates presence. So this is the record for of one student for 10 days. Absent, 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 then present, 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 then absent, present, present, absent. So how to get all the indices in which, say for example, 1 is present or 1 is there. So it is pretty easy. One way of doing that is using the count, but using count, we will be only getting the count of 1 as 5. But what if I want to get all these locations? In this case, this is basically 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. So how to get this? So in this way, like this code snippet, we will be getting how many how many days the student was present. But what if I want to get all the locations, right? So let's just try to do that. So let's, for saving some time, let's copy this. Okay. So I think the present array was declared somewhere. Yes, here. Now I want to consider taking all the, I basically I want to get the dates in which the corresponding student, this student, was present. So how to do that? So I have copied so this will basically be giving us how many days in total the student was present. In this case, as you can see, it will be 5, right? So what I am doing is I'm looking for when one is, when the item in the ith index is 1. So I have initialized a count to 0. I'm traversing all the items in this list, basically this present list, and I'm checking the corresponding item stored in that location. And if it is 1, I'm incrementing the corresponding count. Now, what if I want to get all the dates as well? So basically, I want to get the corresponding location in which, so basically, let's look at this. So I want to get the corresponding dates as well, right? So from this was actually printing all the dates as well as the presence or absence of that student. Now I only want to take the ones. How can we do that? Simply, I just need to, if I want to store all the, all the dates in which the student was present. So let's declare one present dates, initialize that with an empty list. This means the student was present in the CLS states, ith CLS states, right? So what we need to do is present dates dot append. What we need to do is CLS dot dates and I. Total present count. Now what I'm doing is, this present dates was initially empty. Now I'm traversing all the items in that present list. Whenever it is present, I'm considering taking the corresponding date which is stored in this CLS dates, and that corresponding date I'm appending it in this list. And finally, if I print present dates, it will be printing the corresponding dates in which the student was present. Now this same thing, only this counting thing, can also be done using the count function as well. There is another way to do that using a loop, using a for loop as well. Using a while loop also can be used to get this, only this count. I would request you to try that. Okay, let's look at another example, a practical example. So if we consider the famous or infamous, depending on whether you are a Germany fan or a Brazil fan, let's consider the 2014 FIFA World Cup semi-final. The score was 7-1 in favor of Germany. And these are the name of the 7 scorer of the corresponding goals. The first goal was scored by Müller, the 11th minute, then Klose, then Cruz in the 24th and 26th minute, then Carrera, and then now given a name, I want to get the times at which this name, basically this footballer had scored the corresponding goal. I want to get that. So how can we do that? So again, I'm repeating, given I have 2 lists, one list containing all the name of the scorer, and the second list is correspondingly containing the time at which this scorer had scored the goal. Now, given one name of a scorer, I want to get all the times at which he had scored the goal. How to do that? So I have, to save some time, I have already copied this thing here. So let's just compile it. Now if I print goals, as you can see, it is basically the name of the goal scorer. It would be correct to name it as goal scorer. Okay, and the corresponding goal times is basically this. So there is a one-to-one correspondence. Müller 11th, Klose 23rd, Cruz 24th, and so on. Now what I want to do is, I've given a name, say Cruz. I want to get all the times at which he had scored the goal. What we will be doing is, first of all, I will be declaring one, say, list, which will be containing all the times at which, say, Cruz has scored the goal. And of course, name is, say, Cruz. Already in the last class, we have discussed how to make these case insensitive by considering all in small. But for this time, to keep it simple in this case, I am just considering a one-to-one correspondence, that is capital K, capital K. So of course we can convert it, we can make it case insensitive as well. Now what I'll be doing is, for I in range, say, so basically I'll be traversing all the items in this list, in goal scorer list. So lane of goal scorer. Now if I print the, say, goal scorer I, will be getting all the name of the goal scorers, right? Now what I need to do is, I need to check whether the ith location is containing this name, that is Cruz or not, right? Now, how will I be able to do that? I will be just checking if goal scorer I is equals to name or not. If it is equals to name, then I will be appending. So basically, if I just print the goal location, it will be, now this will be printing the corresponding times, right? So as you can see, Cruz had scored in the 24th and 26th minute. Now what if so here I am just printing it. What if I want to store it somewhere? For example, in a list. So what we need to do is time.append, and then I need to provide this goal time I. This will be, as you can see, these outputs are being provided by this. Now this time is basically containing time. It will be printing 24 and 26. So basically the time at which Cruz had scored the goals. So in this way, we can get a one-to-one correspondence between two lists. There is actually a better way of doing this using dictionary. Here what I am doing is I am traversing this goal scorer list one after the other. So here this list is containing 7 names, and I am looking for Cruz in the first, then second, then third, then I'm storing it in time, then fourth, then I'm again storing it in time, then fifth, then sixth, then seventh. So as you can see, we need to traverse the whole list, right? It would take some time. Now consider this list containing, say, 1 million of record, and you need to search for certain this kind of items you want to search where there is a one-to-one correspondence. This can actually be handled easily or more efficiently by using a dictionary. Okay, dictionary will be discussed in couple of weeks. So here's the solution that I have already written here. Okay. So the next operation that I'll be looking at is copying a list into another. Let's consider we have two lists. One list containing A, B, and another is basically an empty list. Now, if I append this existing list A into B and print the B, what will be printing? Basically, this P will be containing a list, a single item list, which will be containing this A, B, these two items, right? Is it clear? Just to show you, let me copy it. I think I had copied it. Nope. So if I print A as well, so as you can see, A is basically a list, and B, as I am appending A into B, so B is containing on a single item that is containing this items in A, basically, right? Now, if I append some new items in A, for example, if I make, say, A dot append, say, apple, it will be A, B, apple. But what if I print B, and what will be the output? This is I want you to think of. So of course, what we want to do is, so basically here I am appending the list A into B. That's why B is containing basically a list containing AB. right? Now I have changed this list A by appending apple. Now A has become AB apple. Now if I print B, as you can see, the change in A also being reflected in B as well. What is actually wrong here? Basically, what is wrong here is with this line. Whenever I'm appending this list A into this list B, this basically there is a referencing that is happening of A inside B. Now, if I make any change, so if I again say, if I append, like say as I have done here, so if I make some set of appendments in the corresponding A list, so A dot append say I star I, what I'm doing is basically I'm appending this list with basically 1 star 1, 2 star 2, 3 star 3, right? Now if I print A, oops, sorry, I in, so it is containing AB apple, which was earlier there. Now it is appended with 1, 4 and 9, basically 1 square, 2 square and 3 square. Similarly, if I print B, as you can see, the corresponding change in list A has also been reflected in list B. Sometimes it is actually needed to keep this kind of a reference, but at other, I mean, for some other cases, it's basically undesirable. So basically, this is not the correct way of copying one list into another. As we have started our discussion on list, comparing it with strings, let's consider this copying of string and copying of lists as well. So let's consider we have str1 containing hello. Now if I change str2 equals to str1, then both will be printing hello, right? Similarly, lst1 initialized with 1, 2, 3, lst2 initialized with lst1. Now if I print both lst1 and lst2, they will both be printing 1, 2, 3, right? Now if I make str1 for the string case to Python, this will be printing Python, but this will be printing hello, right? I hope you can, I mean, you will be able to try that at your end. Of course, we can write, but to save some time, I'm not actually writing this. So let me tell you just that, just overwriting. So basically, str1 was hello, so str2 was also hello. Now, if I make str1 to Python, so this will be printing Python, but this will be printing hello. But here, if I append 4 in this lst1, lst1 will be reflected. I mean, the change in lst1 will be, of course, reflected. It will be becoming 1, 2, 3, 4. But the same change will also be reflecting in lst2 as well. Let's look at that example. As you can see, lst1 containing 1, 2, 3, lst2 also containing 1, 2, 3. Now, if I make an append, if I append 4 into lst1, lst1, the change will be both reflected in lst1 as well as lst2. The reason is same. Basically, what I am doing here is I am basically assigning a reference into this lst2, right? Then this is not the right way of copying one list into another.
Sir,
Yes,
sir,
Christian.
but how is it happening? I mean, the value of list two is so first I compile the first cell. So
Mm-hmm.
now list two has some value, right? Like
Right,
list two has some value. So when I'm for the second cell, when I'm
right.
again doing this, then how
Mhm.
the value of list 2 is changing at all? Like
Good
getting any.
question. So to understand that, we will be coming back to, we'll be referring to the discussion on mutability and immutability. As strings are immutable, that's why this is actually possible. I mean, this will actually be printing Python and hello. But as lists are mutable, this is actually happening because of that. So LST1, if I print the IDs or the identifiers, you will be understanding why I am getting the same output. As you can see, they are actually same reference. After that, when I'm changing it, again, if I again print it, you can see they are the same reference. So basically what is happening? In the memory, there is this list. And LST1 and LST2, you can consider two pointers who are pointing to, I mean, both of them pointing to this same list. So in the memory, there is only one existence of this list. And this LST1 and LST2 are just two references which are pointing to this list. That's why when I'm changing this list, either using LST1 or using LST2, so same thing if I do, so LST2 dot append say hello, and if I again print it, you can see the change will be reflected in both the lists. So what is happening? This is actually in the memory, there are two pointers or two references, LST1 and LST2. Using both, we can change this list, and any change that is happening in the list will be reflected by both the references. And the actual reason is because they are in the same identifier location. Got it, Amit?
Yes, sir, I got.
Great, great. So basically, this is not the correct way of copying one list to another. So to copy a list, basically there is a function, a built-in list function, copy, using which we can actually copy the content from one to another. So let's just try that, and let's look at how it is actually different from the earlier case. So here, so let's just print it. And together with that, let's print the corresponding IDs as well. And then it will be basically easier for you to understand the reason. So what we have? We have fruits1, a list containing apple, banana, and cherry. Then earlier we have seen that fruits1 equals to fruits2, or fruits2 equals to fruits1. If I just write this, it will actually not be copying. It will just be making another reference to this list. But what if we want to actually make the copy? There is this copy function, which is a list function. What this will be doing? This will be copying the content in this list into this list. Then let's look at the corresponding lists. You can see now the IDs are different. And now if I make an append, if I append another item in say fruits dot append say watermelon, and then if I print, I mean if I just print the fruits1 and fruits2, sorry, I should be making it fruits1. then you can see the change made in fruits1, the first list, is not being reflected in the second list, which was true earlier when we were kind of using the equals to operator here in this example. So here, so this is the way of copying one list into another. Note that again, I'm repeating, this is making another reference to this same list. But this is basically making a copy of the existing list into another. Another way of doing the same thing is using this list function, which you can consider as a constructor, using which you can actually existing list into another list. This is also possible using slicing operator as well. So instead of just writing fruits2 equals to fruits1, what we'll be doing is we'll be providing fruits2 equals to fruits1, then third bracket, then an empty slicing operator. This will also be copying. This will also be working in the same way like this. This is the correct way of copying one list into another. So the next operation we will be discussing is joining two lists. This is fairly easy. So let's say we have two lists. List 1 containing Alice, Bob and Charlie, and list 2 containing their ages, respectively their ages. Alice 18 years old, Bob 21 years old, and Charlie 19 years old. Now what if I want to join them? A simple addition operator, which we have already seen, can be used as a concatenation operator for a string, can also be used for lists as well to join two lists. Here, what will be happening is, as list 1 already containing 3 items, list 2 containing 3 items, this will be making a new list, list 3, containing 6 items with Alice, Bob, Charlie, then 18, 21, 19. So basically you can consider I'm just placing these 3 items after this. Basically I'm appending this list with this. But note that this will not be changing list 1 or list 2. List 1 and list 2 will be containing the same items, but after applying this plus, this will be actually creating another list. Okay. The same thing, as I have said, this is basically, I can actually create another list, but in this example, I am basically appending the items in list 2 into list 1. So in this case, I am changing list 1, but list 2 is kept as it is. So after this operation, list 2 will be containing Alice, Bob, Charlie, then 18, 21, 19. List 2 will be containing 18, 21, 19. Also, we can use the extend function to extend right? Here, the list 1 will be extended by the items in list 2, right? So in this case, so basically similar to this case, it will be changing the items in list 1. So the resulting list, basically the list 2 and list 1 will be Alice, Bob, Charlie, 18, 21, 19. Note that list 2 will not be changed. Now a small exercise to you. Can you join these two lists to make a list containing, say, Alice 18, Bob 21, Charlie 19? It is called a shuffled list. So can you make that? It's a small exercise to you guys. Please try that at your end, and if you are facing any difficulty or not understanding how to do that, please let me know later on.
Sir,
Yes,
the first operation using addition operator,
right.
this addition operator is not commutable. All I mean that if I write list 2 plus list 1, then it is not the same list 3, right?
No, of course not.
Because the positions are changing.
You are absolutely correct. They will not be giving the same list. So let's make list 3 equals to list 1 plus list 2, and list 4 list 2 plus list 1. List 3 and list 4. Let's make the end as SIP as new line. As you can see, list 3 is basically Alice, Bob, Charlie, then 18, 21, 19. But list 4 is, as I am keeping this list 2 before list 1, that's why it's 18, 21, 19, then Alice, Bob, Charlie. They are completely two different lists. Okay?
Sir,
Yes.
when we are appending to lists, do we also have that referencing problem?
That's a good question. So actually, no. Actually, no, in the sense, here what I am doing is I am making another list. So this is basically making another list, and that list is being referenced using this list 3. If I print the ID of list 3 and ID of list 4, ID of list 4, SAP equals to, so I'm just providing this SAP equals to new line just to keep them in separate lines. As you can see, they are two different. So what is actually happening? This is creating a new list. But note that at this point, if I keep only this two, I mean, if I write only list 1 equal list 1 plus list 2, it is creating a list, but it is not storing the reference of this newly created list somewhere. It is just not keeping. This is creating the list. This is creating the new list, and the new list is being referenced by list 3. Similarly, this is creating the new list, and then list 4 equals to, this statement is basically storing the reference of this newly created list into list 4. So basically now if you write something like list 5 equals to list 3, they will be the same as we have discussed earlier. So if I write list 5 equals to list 3, and then if I print the ID of list 5, it will be same.
No, sir, I am not asking about that. I am asking about list 3. Does list 3 contains the reference of list 1 and list 2?
No. List 3 is containing the reference of a newly created list. List 3 is unaware of any other list 1 or list 2.
Oh, okay, sir.
This is, so as you can, basically the list, right? This is list 3.
Yeah.
So list 3 is unaware that there was a list 1 and there was a list 2. Concatenating which it is resulting into this list which it is storing. So list 3 is unaware of that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So as you can see, I mean, so I guess it's clear. So this is, as you can see, 504, 504, they are same. List 3 and list 5 are same. Okay. So the next operation, which is an important one, is sorting a list. So let's consider we have a set of marks or a list of marks. Let's just copy it, and we want to sort them. So to sort a list, there is a sort function, which is a list function. It sorts a list in either ascending or descending order. The syntax of sort is, it basically pointers. Both of them are, not mandatory. They are, if you want to change the default one, it will be I mean, you can specify these parameters. So let's just try to sort this list. So we have a marks containing this. If I need to sort them, what I need to do is I need to call this sort with the corresponding list, in this case marks. Now this will be changing the actual list. Now after calling this, if I print marks, as you can see, it is sorted in the ascending order. Earlier it was 80, 82, 67 and so on. Now it is 45, 54 in an ascending order. Now what if you want to, so as you can see, I haven't specified any parameter here to this sort function. Now what if you want to sort them in the descending order? Then you need to specify this parameter here, reverse. By default, reverse is false. That is, it will be by default considered as in sorting in the ascending order. Now if you make it true, it will be sorting the list in descending order, right? As you 82, 77 and so on. Now the other parameter is called key. So the key is basically a function that will specify how you want to apply the sorting, or what in what way you want to compare the individual items. By default, in this case, as they are integers, this key is basically integer comparison. As the list is containing strings, integers, it is considering a simple integer comparison. If they are like how to convert a string into a corresponding integer using the Unicode. The same way we have actually discussed about the lexicographical order by which we can compare, right? Now, more on this key part, or this key parameter we will be discussing after discussion on function, because in that case we need to specify a function which we will be writing, based on which the comparison will be happening. So let's consider another list. So let's just copy it. So let's consider we have names, set of strings: Bob, David, Alice, Charlie and Ellen. So calling just using sort will be sorting them in the ascending order: Alice, Bob, Charlie, David and Ellen. And if you specify this reverse equals to true, it will be the other way around. That is, starting with Ellen, then David, then Charlie, then Bob, then Alice. So let's try that. So now if I just execute it, you can see the actual list was containing Bob, David, Alice, Charlie, Ellen, or BDACE. After calling this sort function, it has become ABCDE, and after calling this sort with reverse equals to true, it has become EDCBA. That is in the reverse order. Now, what if I want to sort the name based on the length of the name, right? So the length of this name is basically 3. This is 5. This is 5. This is 7. This is 5. What if I want to sort them based on the length of the name? So although we will be discussing this later, as I have said, during the give you a brief, here we can simply specify key equals to len. So if I call the sort function with key equals to len, and if I print the names, as you can see, they are being sorted based on the length of the corresponding string 3, 5, 5, 5, 7. Of course, if we make this reverse equals to true, it will be the other way around. First Charlie, then Alice, David, Ellen, Bob. Sorry, extremely sorry. I have specified this in the wrong place. So now what I am doing here is I am basically sorting them based on the length of the string. Now as this is 7, this is 5, 5, 5, then 3. Earlier, without this, it was basically first Bob, then Alice, then David, then Ellen, then Charlie. More on this will be followed after the discussion on function. Now let's look at another example. Let's say this is the marks of 5 students, marks in mathematics, physics, and chemistry. So this is student 1, this is student 2, student 3, student 4, student 5. The student 1 had got 82 in mathematics, 76 in physics, and 72 in chemistry. Correspondingly, student 2 has secured 75 in mathematics, 79 in physics, and 74 in chemistry, and so on. Now, what if I want to sort the marks based on the marks obtained in physics, like stored in the 1th location, right? In this inner list. So in that case, we will be defining a new function, and the function will be defining the way we will be considering or we will be comparing the individual items. So as I have said, this is basically defining a function. We will be discussing this later in details after the discussion on function. Just to give you a hint here, what's actually happening, I'm calling this marks. I'm calling this sort function on this marks, where I'm specifying the key equals to a function name. And what is happening here? Here in this sort phy function, I am providing a list. Here val is a list, and we are just returning the item based on which the sorting will be happening. So in this case, I want to sort them based on the marks obtained in physics, and as it is stored in the 1th location, I am returning return val 1. If I want to sort them based on mathematics, I would have been returning val 0, or for chemistry, I would have been returning val 2. Similarly, and this is reverse equals to true, as I wanted to sort them in descending order. Similarly, if I want to sort them based on the total marks obtained, what I need to do is, again I need to provide this val, and then instead of returning val 1, val 0, or val 2, respectively for physics, sorting based on physics, mathematics, or chemistry, I'll be returning val 0 plus val 1 plus val 2. This will be sorting the list, this list, based on the marks obtained, the total marks obtained. So let's just quickly show you. As I said, this will be discussed later on as well. So if I call this, and if I print marks, as you can see, this is sorted based on the marks on physics, 79, 78, 76, 71, 69. And similarly, if I want to sort them based on the total marks obtained, as you can see, this is the highest marks. If you sum them up, you will be finding that this is the highest marks, this is the second highest, this is the third highest, and so on. Here, as I said, I'm defining a function based on which the comparison is happening. And that function name has been provided as the key here. Now, another small exercise for you. Given a list, say this marks, again some integers, 10 integers here. Sort this list based on the number of digits. How many digits are there? Based on that, sort the individual numbers. That is, if it is in the default ascending order sort, first it will be 8, then 7, then 62, then 51, then I think 727, then 702, and so on. There is another function called sorted, which is not a list function, but it can actually be applied on any sequence data type. Like it can also be applied on strings, dictionary, sets, tuples as well. The function is called sorted. So for the sorted function, earlier for sort function, as we have said, that the sort function is needed to be invoked by a list, right? As we have said, here we are invoking the sort function with a list. But here for the sorted function, there is no invoking parameter or invoking variable here. I need to provide the thing that I want to sort as a first parameter. And then again, second and third parameters discussed in the sort function, key and reverse. Now, as I said, here the iterable or the item that you want to sort can actually be list, can actually be a string, or any other sequence data type or collection data. A string can also sort a string based on the characters. Given a tuple, it can also sort the tuple, a list as well. Similar to, if I provide a dictionary or a set, it can also sort them. Now, of course, you might be wondering, what is the difference between sort and sorted? So, to give you just a brief, sorted can be applied to any sequence data types or collection data types like strings, list, dictionary, sets, tuples. But sort is basically a list function. That is why it can only be applied to sort a list. Another difference is sort and sort is basically returns nothing. It changes the original list, but for sorted, it does not change the original list. So for sorted, as I said, I need to provide a parameter here. For example, a list. Sorted will not. The invoking or the list given as parameter will be kept as it is, which is not the case for sort. As we have seen here, the actual sort, the list is being changed. Now, just to show you with a small example, let's say we have this again, and basically we have this marks list. If I need to sort them, if I just call sorted marks, as you can see, it is sorted. But if I print the list, as you can see, it is remaining the same. Now, if you want to keep it somewhere, you need to provide a list, then it will be stored somewhere. As you can see, the sorted list is being stored in this sorted marks list. But unlike in this case, the actual invoking list was changed. A similar function is reverse. Reverse is actually reverse a given list. It is also a list function. And it updates the invoking list or changes the invoking list and does not return any value similar to the sort function. Now again, if I look at this, we have this print marks, and then if I call this reverse function on this marks, and then if I print marks, as you can see, the initial list was this, and after calling this reverse, it has become the exact reverse, 54, 70. Now, similar to sorted, there is a function reversed as well. And the functionality of the reversed function is same. So basically, print say marks, sorry, basically so this is actually, earlier the sorted function was returning the list, so here it is returning one list which we can actually iterate. Basically we can just simply iterate. So to just show you the type, it is basically an iterable list, reverse iterable or iterator. So the relation between sort and sorted is similar to the relation between reverse and reversed. Okay, but sometime, most of the cases, reverse will be applied, not reversed. Okay. So just to recap, in this list, we have discussed about different insertion functions: append, extend, insert. To remove items, we have discussed about how to do that using del, how to use remove function to remove an item from the list, how to use pop function to remove and return an element at a given index or the last inserted element, or using clear as well, which removes. Another way of removing them is by using the slicing operator. And while searching and other important function, we have discussed index, which returns the index of the first matched item. Count returns the count of the number of items, number of times an item is present in a list. Copy, to copy the content in a list in the correct way. And we have also discussed sort and reverse. So this is the discussion on list. So any question, please feel free to ask. Anyone? Okay, then thanks a lot. So from tomorrow's class, we'll be starting our discussion on the other data types, other compound data types, focusing on sets and tuples. Okay, thanks a lot.